Okay, so before we get started, I have another joke.
Oh, I have a joke too.
Okay, so you go first.
Okay. What do you call a hen looking at a pile of lettuce?
Enlighten me.
Chicken Caesar salad.
All right. So, how do you know the difference between a regular joke and a dad joke?
How?
Well, you should know. It's apparent.
Yep. Those are good jokes. Hello everybody, welcome back to BnB Anime. I am Blue, that is Brad. Today we're going to be discussing Demon Slayer Mugen Train. This is the new movie that came out last year but is just released on Funimation. But before we get into that, how you doing, Brad?
Brad is tired.
Yeah?
It's been a long week, and I've still got more ahead of me.
Yeah.
I've been house sitting, which is nice, but I have learned a thing.
What?
Tub club in the summer is not healthy.
No, I bet not.
I feel like I about gave myself a heat stroke the other night.
Yeah, you have to listen to what is it, like 10 minutes in a hot tub?
Well, you see, I feel like during the winter, that can go fuck off because nobody's going to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
However, during summer, that's probably more accurate because I was out there for about maybe an hour. I watched 2 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen while I was out there propped up on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up to get out of the hot tub after it was done because I should probably let the dogs in, let them eat, all that fun stuff. Well, I get up and go to step out of the hot tub and then everything was like going dark.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's not good. Stay awake. Don't fall asleep.
Yeah, I've done that before. Not with a hot tub specifically, but I like to have really hot baths and hot showers. And I have gotten out of those a couple of times and had to sit on the bathroom floor while I regained consciousness.
Yeah, whenever I had my spell last year, whenever I had that really bad bout of poison ivy, I think it was like right after I moved back here from Clayton.
Yeah.
Dear God. That was the hottest and longest shower I've ever took. And as soon as I stepped out, I was like, I fell into the floor. I was like, oh, this is a thing.
This is a thing. Yeah, I really like to read books in the bath. It's just like a chilling, relaxing thing. And I sometimes get way too involved in the books. And yeah, then end up on the floor. So I understand. It's unhealthy. We shouldn't do it, but we do it anyway.
So Blue officially likes to ruin her books by getting them moist. I get it.
Depends on the books. Some books I'm very careful with. But I am a frequent shopper at a secondhand bookshop that I very much enjoy. And those books they normally come to me pretty tatty. So I don't mind taking them into the bathroom.
They're like, fuck these books. Water.
Water. Well, I don't soak them, But
that's not what I'm hearing. Blue ruins books.
No, they might just get a bit steamy is all. And sometimes wet fingerprints on them.
But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. Just pretty much house sitting and almost dying. How's your week been?
Not too crazy. I mean, lots of things happen. Life, happens.
Uh-huh.
I did some sketching. We went out to the mountains for a little while, and so I went and did some sketching of the wild strawberries. There's wild strawberries all over the place in Alberta, and a couple of other little shrubs and plants. Did some sketching of those. And I've been tinkering around with the idea of making a magical book for D&D. But
ooh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so it's I would do my plant sketches, but they would be not real plants, and then I would do a brief description of the climate that they would grow in, the things that they need, maybe some other local flora and fauna. I can never say that. And maybe, just little things that give more context to the plant. And then things that are the plant can do, so there's a purpose for it, whether it's a poison or a food or something like that. And then just make a little group, a little book of all of them coming together and maybe put it up for people who like D&D and other role-playing games and stuff who maybe need something to reference every now and again.
I mean, honestly, you know who you could send that to, right?
Yeah.
Because I know Teddy would be all over that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know my brother would be super interested in it. Well, he's a DM. And I know that, like, so I know that, like, it's something that people would enjoy. But yeah, so I don't know. I've been playing around with it. My mom's kind of been helping me with it because she likes writing, like, really short stories. So I was thinking that maybe she could write, like, little tiny short stories to go with them that you can either take if you want or not. But, like, it would be from, like, it would be like an adventurer's log, I guess, where they would go around and, like, write little blurbs about the plant, but then also, like, the short diary entry from the adventurer as well, which I thought was cute, a cool idea.
Oh my god, if it ever took off, like, you could make one, like, a collector's edition that would be leather bound.
Yeah.
Like, make it look like it's on, like, a little handwritten notebook thing.
Yeah, I'd love that.
You could make a fucking killing doing that.
Yeah, it's something I've been playing around with. I've done 2 sketches so far of 2 different plants. One of them I know exactly what it's going to be, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'm going to keep it in my brain for now. And then the other one, like, I've drawn the thing, but I don't really know what it does yet, if that makes sense. But yeah, I've been tinkering around with it, and I think I might continue with it. I want to try and get, like, maybe 100 plants. I think that would be, like, a lot. But if I could do, like, 50, I'd be really happy with that. But I think I want to try and do, like, 100. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I've been playing around with.
I mean, I would be game for it.
Yeah.
I would certainly acquire it.
Yeah. We'll see. Play around with it. Mess around. You never know.
Never know.
Never know. What else have I done this week? Oh, I read a whole new book.
So, you came very early prepared for book club, and I have not. However, I will pretend I came ready for book club by talking about the manga a lot whenever we get to our topic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't intend to read a whole book, but I picked it up and could have put it down. And it was like 700 pages, and I read it in 3 days.
So basically, you read The Goblet of Fire in 3 days.
Yeah, basically.
Actually, I think that's closer to the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, Goblet of Fire is 800?
Is it 800?
No, Order of the Phoenix is 800. No, Order of the Phoenix is 800. Order of the Phoenix is the biggest. Goblet of Fire is 600.
I think Goblet of Fire is like 650?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
I think it's the next biggest.
Yeah, I remember... Oh no, Deathly Hallows I think is second biggest to Order of the Phoenix.
I thought it was, like, tied with Goblet of Fire, and then you had The Half-Blood Prince, Prisoner of Azkaban,
fourth.
The Chamber of Secrets, and then Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, I like how you call it Philosopher's Stone.
I'm only doing it because it was you. If it was anybody else, it'd be the Sorcerer's Stone.
It pleases me greatly. No, I appreciate it.
Look, man, I bend my life for these conversations with you. It just happens. I'm basically half British.
Yeah, basically. You're honorary British, according to me.
Yeah. Can I be knighted?
I can't even be knighted, so...
So, you know, have you seen those ads to where you can buy like a square foot of property in Scotland and be called a lord or a lady?
Mm-hmm. That is possible, yeah.
You want to do that as like a podcast thing just for shits and giggles?
We could do. I already have a title, though. Technically, you do as well, but it's less prevalent.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
So, I am a maid of Kent. That is my title. It just means I was born on one side of a river in Kent, because you can either be a Kentish maid or a maid of Kent. I am a maid of Kent. Yeah, it just means I'm unmarried and was born on one side of a river. That's what it means. But, like, you technically would have a title. You would be man of wherever you were born.
Man of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's your title. Technically.
I think I would much rather buy a square foot of land in Scotland and just go by the name Lord Bradgarron from now on. Get one for the podcast for Prickles, and it would be Lady Prickles.
Lady Prickles, yeah. No, but
Get
like...
one for Tilly, too, and it could be Lady Tilly or Lady Bean.
Lady Bean. Lady Bean. But yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. In the UK, I think it is more like... Yeah, I don't know. That's just what it means. If we were back in 612 or whatever, and you were introducing yourself, you would be man of Tennessee. Well, you wouldn't, because Tennessee didn't exist, but, you know.
I am man of not even thought of yet.
I would still be maid of Kent, because Kent has been around for a long time. I think it was a country then? Or maybe that was a little bit later. I don't know. It's been a while since I did British history.
What? No, it hasn't been that long.
Not that long, only like 13 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, what has it been? 13 years? No, that's not long at all.
No, not at all. But yeah, I read a book. I read a book about the Saxons and the Celts and the Saxons and the Danes and the whole thing. And it was like a historical fiction. And it was really good, and I enjoyed it very much. And I've ordered the second book because I enjoyed the first book so much. And I'm excited, and it's coming next week on the same day that I have my appointment where they're going to inject the painkillers into my wrist. So that's going to be my reward.
Yeah, reward. Book.
Yeah.
So how dare you come to 2 podcasts in a row, overly prepared for book club, and here I am, like, I'm a go do house sit. I will watch a whole other anime next week.
Sure, why not?
Actually, just kidding. I have VBS next week, so I'm barely going to finish whatever the hell we're covering next week. What are we covering next? I'm pulling it up right now, and we got...
Rising of Shield Hero. And, that's all I did this week, though, so...
So shall we get into some news?
Yes, let's get into some news.
All right, so... While this has been the year that we have been graced by the presence of second seasons, we are finally getting the second season of Saga of Tanya the Evil. So the second season has been announced. However, we don't have an official release date yet. All we know is that apparently it's completely finished. So it's 100% done. The studio has just refused to let us know when the fuck they're going to release it.
Right.
That's big boo.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first season. Have you seen any of it or know anything about it?
No, I haven't. I don't know much.
So, the Saga of Tanya the Evil is essentially a dude who does not believe in God at all. He's just a really big corporate billionaire, like full of himself, all that other fun shit. Well, he is going home on a train one night. Dude that he fired or some shit like that. I don't know. Either way, dude pushes him in front of a moving train. But God stops time. And he's like, all right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to reincarnate you into another world. And I will give you all the power in the world. If you pray to me before you use that power just to actually make you believe in me.
Right.
And the dude gets smacked by a train. And then reincarnated into like a World War II-esque type world, but it's World War II with magic. So you basically have dude who is reincarnated as a blonde-headed woman child, and at like 10 or 12 years old is leading basically the German army, but with magic. It's a fucking acid trip. It's good. Like, it's a good show. But it's an acid trip, man.
It sounds like the biggest acid trip.
But yeah, I'm excited for the second season whenever we get around to it. If I ever find time to throw it on the schedule, I might just throw it on there just to see what you think about it. But it's a good show. It's definitely not in my like top 5 isekais of all time. But it's still really good.
It sounds really interesting, and sounds like a trip on the acid.
I enjoy like bullshit.
It's nice to take a break.
Like
sometimes.
Takes on history.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in its own little world. Like it's not one of those animes that you can tell is like trying to copy something.
Right, yeah.
So it's definitely good for those kind of things. But you're right, it does take like a break from the standard things that we like to cover.
Yes, it's I mean, anime at times, even if like the anime that you're watching isn't presented like Your Lie in April. For instance, Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is a really good example of this. You could go into something thinking that it's like not super heavy, it's like lighthearted, or it's like just action-packed, or, you know, it's kind of like a shoot-'em-up type of film. And then all of a sudden they hit you with feelings that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, speaking of feelings this week, my God.
Yeah. And then every now and again you need to watch something that's just stupid and an acid trip. So I'm all for those kinds of animes.
Oh my God, guess what I showed Tree this week?
Keijo?
Tanaka-kun.
Tanaka? Oh, yeah. And?
Oh, he lost his shit whenever Tanaka just yeeted that racket.
I'm so glad.
I about fell out of the chair. I couldn't contain myself. For some reason, that's just my favorite part about that entire anime. Was just that skit of him just throwing the racket.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Ota, I want to try that too. Yeet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's a fun time.
I'm so glad he enjoyed that.
I'm gonna have to get him to watch more of it. I'm still trying to get him to watch ReZero, but the first episode for him is just fucking cursed.
Oh, yeah.
He gets like 15 minutes through the first episode, and then child starts crying, or his wife needs something, and I'm like, hey, anime's important too.
You don't need to care for the humans around you. Anime is more important.
Anime is life. Why do you think I'm still single and just all alone watching anime by myself?
All by myself.
Just kidding. I have you to pester for the rest of my life with anime.
That is true. That is true.
You poor soul. You have my condolences.
It's okay, because I'll pester you also about anime. And I tell you about Witchcraft, which is very interesting. It seems like all of the people that are, like, important integral figures in my life seem to be Christians, and I'm a witch, and I don't understand how this works, but it is.
But, I mean, on the flip side, though, like, as a Christian, I find that shit interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not the kind of Christian that's like, oh, God can heal all things. Because, I mean, although technically you believe it, but also, obviously, there are doctors for a fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, there are, natural ways of healing that in our realm of religion, are like God sent, whether it be doctors or plants or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, therefore, witchcraft is very much an integral part of healing. So, therefore, I have no issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know, it's just because I'm a hereditary witch, like, I grew up with it, my mom practices, my granddad practices, my great-grandma practiced, like, it's the thing that's been in my family for so many generations that I don't really, like, there are times now, especially as an adult, I do things, and then people look at me so strangely, and I don't understand that what I did was just, like, a witchcraft practice. And until now, like, I'm learning about them now as an adult, that's like, oh, normal people don't keep locks of hair and baby teeth. Like, sorry, didn't know that.
I mean, hey, you do you. I don't care.
I have all of my baby teeth. I didn't know that was weird. I crush my eggshells because otherwise somebody can make a doll out of them and control your body. Like...
Excuse me?
So when you crack an egg, you know how you have two shells?
Uh-huh.
My granddad always told me, I've never known how you do it, but I don't know, like, the practice of it. I don't practice that kind of magic, so I don't know. But, yeah, apparently if you take somebody's hair with the root attached and an eggshell that they cracked themselves, you can use that to make some kind of, like, a poppet or a voodoo doll equivalent. And yeah, so it was always something that my granddad and then my mom made me always, like, crush my eggshells. So you never have two full halves.
Okay, so I'm flabbergasted at myself for not giving a shit about the locks of hair and the baby teeth, but I draw my lines at crushing eggshells. But for two, the fuck?
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about it other than that. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, was never spoken of because it was dark practices and evil and,
Yeah, I was about to say, also typical, like, wizard and witchcraft shit. You don't do this because this is bad. We also won't teach you how to do this so that way you know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know that I'm not supposed to, like, leave my eggshells. So I'll always, like, because my dad, he doesn't believe in any of it, right? He's complete atheist. And my brother is as well. So my brother doesn't cook, so he doesn't crack eggshells. But when my dad cracks eggs, he never crushes the shells. So I'm always, like, finding myself going through the compost bin that we have on like, next to our sink. We just have a little compost bin that we then take out to the compost. I'm going through it every time he has eggs, and I'm just, like, crushing the shells after him. Walking out there and crushing the shells. It's such a habit. Yeah, it's such a habit. But I did it when I went to go live with the twins for a while. I went to their, in their kitchen, and I did it. And I remember one of them commenting on it, being like, why did you just do that? You had clean hands, and now you have gunk all over your hands. And I'm like, oh, because witchcraft. And they're both Christian. And they're just looking at me like, they're used to it by now. So they're just like, oh, okay. That's fine,
I just love how that's your excuse. Like, from now on, if you ever do anything, why did you do that, witchcraft? Like, my God.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just such a thing that, like, I grew up with that, like, I don't notice when I'm doing things until other people comment on it. And I'm like, wait, you don't do that in your household?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, back to the news.
Yeah. So, I'm excited. You probably won't be excited because, you live in the middle of nowhere. But Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish is officially coming to select theaters July 12th through 14th in North America. I'm so excited.
That's fun, yeah.
I can't wait. I'm ready to cry. I say I'm ready to cry. I fucking cried this week with our topic, man.
I also cried.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, this is news. I'm so happy. I shouldn't be happy because you cried, but my God, I'm so happy.
I didn't think I was gonna. I really didn't think I was gonna. Like, I got quite far into the situation that makes you cry. But then there's like, yeah, it was just like, there's this one image of, like, importance, I guess.
Oh, like at the very end, whenever it, like, officially happens?
Yeah.
We will get to that. I have something to talk about with that, because it specifically strays from the manga just for that particular point. And it's just subtle enough to where if you've read the manga, because I read the manga before I watched the film, whenever I got to that point, I remember exactly what was said. So whenever that bit came, it was different, and it broke me.
Oh.
Like, I was sitting in the theater, and this was a packed-out theater, COVID-wise, so, we were socially distanced rows and all that other... But regardless.
Yeah.
Like, it broke me to where I literally would just, like, slump back in my chair and was just sobbing to myself, along with almost everybody else in the theater, too.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think... I'm curious to know about if people would cry watching this movie if they hadn't seen the series previously, because I don't know that you would have the same attachment. But yeah, I don't know, because both of us have obviously had the context to the movie, but the movie is also very standalone. Like, you can watch the movie and you will understand what's going on all throughout the movie.
Yeah, they give you enough context where you can watch it on its own and not have seen the rest of the show and be totally fine.
Yeah.
However,
I do think that you should watch the series first, though, because there isn't a lot of the same depth in this film that you get in the series just because it's a film. They can't fit as much stuff in. And so I feel like if you hadn't seen the series beforehand, some of the characters could come across as quite flat.
I don't necessarily think... Well, then again, so if you had never seen the show before, Zenitsu and Inosuke would be very tropey.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've seen the show, you know how they are, so they're just the adorable misfits. But we'll get to it, because my God, I want to talk to you about those dreams, man.
Yeah,
Oh
the dreams, and we get to see Zenitsu. Oh, I that might be a spoiler. So, but like Zenitsu doing the thing again.
Yep. Every time he does the thing, it's just badass. But also the way that he does the thing this time, and like when he does it, I'm like, you go, boy.
Yeah, for the purpose that he does it.
Yeah.
Anybody who hasn't seen it is going to be hella confused right now.
Oh, they're going to be.
But yeah, it is out. Yeah, it is out on Funimation. So if you haven't seen it and you do have a Funimation subscription, hop on over there, watch it, because it's really, really good.
Also, watch it sub, not dub. The only thing that's good about the dub, I watched this movie twice this week, by the way. I watched it sub the first time because I literally had a boys' night where I invited a bunch of my friends over and we watched it. But I decided to watch it dubbed on its own. Just for, I have no excuse. I just wanted to see how terrible it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not shit-talking dub actors at all. This has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Some dub actors are amazing.
Most of the voice actors were good picks. I just have an issue with Inosuke's voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a bad casting call, in my opinion. Just solely my opinion. Don't at me in the comments, or you can. I don't care. I read all the comments anyway. Regardless. But, so the scene after what happens, and Tanjiro goes after the one thing, and like he's just shouting.
Yeah.
Mate. Like, Tanjiro's voice actor, like, put his heart and soul into that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was, like, perfect 10 out of 10 voice acting.
Yeah.
Everything else, meh.
Yeah.
So, before we carry on about any more Demon Slayer shit, just because I know we're going to ramble about it a lot. So, couple more pieces of news. One, Cyberpunk is back on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sure you remember how we talked about Sony just pulling that shit after it dropped because it wasn't playable.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, this was just an article that I saw. I didn't actually take the time to read it, but apparently CD Projekt Red has come out and said, don't get it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Interesting.
So, literally, the week it comes back on the store, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, don't.
Don't.
And they're the ones who push to have it go back on the store, at least for PS4. Apparently, PS5 is fine and stable, but PS4, leave it alone.
Interesting.
So, I don't know the full story behind that, but I feel for the guys at CD Projekt Red. But also, if you can't get your damn game to work, don't push for it to go back on the store, regardless of how much money you've lost.
Yeah, it honestly sounds like that there is a huge war between the accounting firm and everybody else.
Yeah, because everybody else is like, why the fuck are you doing this? And the accounting people are like, money!
Yeah. And, like, I understand, like, a project has to make money to be able to pay the employees and keep the project going and make more stuff. But, like, if the project doesn't work, then you're not going to make any money. You're just going to disappoint your fans and people are not going to buy the next game that you release. Yeah. So...
here's how you make all your money back. Make more Witcher 3 DLC and release that. You'll make your money back, I promise.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, that was kind of a dick move. It's right, but that was kind of a dick move on my part. But finally, last piece of news. So the Demon Slayer game has an actual release date for the US and North America.
Nice.
October 10th.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Halloween release.
Pretty much. So what I may end up doing is I may end up hijacking the YouTube channel and streaming Demon Slayer to it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Do that.
I mean,
do the thing.
Might as well. I have all the login info. No one's going to stop me except for, well, you.
Why would I stop you?
I don't know.
Just to be petty. No, you can't do it.
I mean, if anybody's the petty one out of this friendship, it would be me.
I'm supposed to be petty, like, according to my, like, horoscope and shit. I don't know, I'm supposed to be, like, always after revenge and, aggressive.
I don't believe in horoscopes. Horoscopes are just generalizations.
Yeah, I think, well, it's, when it comes to, like, astrology and stuff, there's so much more that goes into it. Like, if you're going to study it, there's so much more that goes into it than just what your star sign is. Because, like, how many people were born in the same month as you? And they all have the same fortune? Like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, apparently it goes more in depth to that because you have like rising sun and rising moon and all this other shit. And I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah, it does. So it's all about like where the stars and the planets and everything were the second that you were born and in the location that you were born. Because obviously,
it's like what time you were born, where you were born, all of that shit plays in to a factor. And it's
and
like,
it plays
this
in. And because of that, it also ties into like the climate of the day you were born and the plants that were in bloom in the day you were born and the gemstones, like your birthstone and stuff. It's like a whole in-depth thing that I haven't really delved too far into because, like I said before, I'm a hereditary witch, so that doesn't mean that I practice, like, Wiccan or, like, other kind of specific witchcraft, because, like, our witchcraft is from my family line, you know?
Well, I was going to say, so, like, I would much rather, like, take a leap and believe in your plant witchcraft before I would believe in that shit.
Yeah. They do tie in together, and some people believe that, like, where the stars were born affects how, like, plants grow. So, for instance, like, you harvest certain plants on certain phases of the moon, on, like, moon cycles, because they're supposed to give you better, like, magical properties, like, if you harvest it on a full moon, or if you harvest it on a new moon, or a crescent moon, or whatever.
But isn't that, like, generalization for plants anyway? Because they're obviously going to bloom better or be better at certain times anyway?
It does work like that. There is actual... the thing about it is that all of this witchcraft was created before we had our knowledge of science, right? So it is true that is, like, certain phases of the moon, certain plants give you better properties because that's when they bloom properly, because that's when there is enough moisture in the air, or they're I don't know, they got enough sun or something like that.
Farmers are witches, confirmed.
that was their science. That was herbalism was their science, and it was based in science. It was just called magic because we didn't know that it was chemical compounds that were actually changing.
Mm-hmm.
So, people got burned at the stake for it.
Hey, Cletus, come here and check this tomato to make sure that it is proper to go in our cauldron.
Yeah. Did you know that they used to believe that tomatoes were poisonous, which is why they used to throw them at actors like Shakespeare and stuff on stage, because they used to think that they would be poisonous?
Is it just because they're acidic? People bite into it and be like, sour.
I think they're part of the deadly nightshade family, which is obviously deadly. But yeah, it's like a cousin of the tomato that is poisonous. And so, yeah, they saw that people died from that, and so that then they tried to eat tomatoes.
Hey, let me yeet this fruit/vegetable at you, and hopefully you'll die.
Honestly, yeah, that's what it was. So when you see like those parodies of like, in like a comedy movie or something, when somebody's throwing a tomato at somebody on the stage because they're doing a bad performance, the history of that is because they were trying to kill someone.
Oh my god. I'm going to take that little piece of trivia with me from now on.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
Anyway.
So is it time to get into Demon Slayer?
Let's get into Demon Slayer before I start going on about more random trivia that I, for some reason, have stuck in my brain.
I mean, hey, the description of this episode is already just going to be Witchcraft. So, do as you please at this point. That's all it's going to be. Fuck everything else we talked about this episode. Just Witchcraft.
Witchcraft. Crack your eggshells.
Get ready, because this week we talk about cracking eggshells.
Riveting conversation here.
Oh my god. Anyway, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train is a film made by Ufotable, and it was released last year. Which, do we even need to give the whole background spiel and everything this film has accomplished, considering we've already... how much have we talked about this film this year and last year?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Demon Slayer is officially the highest grossing anime film to come out of Japan. It has outgrossed Spirited Away. It has outgrossed everything. The only thing it has not outgrossed in America is the original Pokemon film. But worldwide, it has outgrossed every other film to ever come out of Japan. And it 100% deserves it. Like, it's great.
It's such a good film.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
So I agree with it taking all of the awards in Japan last year. It 100% deserves it. It was great. It was a fun time. Ufotable, great fucking job. So good. But yeah, it's on Funimation. If you haven't watched it, please, I know we've already went through this, but please go fucking watch it. Do not sit through the spoilers, because this is a direct continuation of Season 1, and Season 2 will pick up immediately where this film left off. So if you don't want spoilers, go watch it, because spoiler chicken hats are going on, and yeah, go fucking watch it.
So, yeah, absolutely go watch it. So I will say that there is a trigger warning for suicide in this film, and it got a 8.75 on my anime list out of 10, and a 4.67 out of 5 on Anime Planet, both of which scored higher than their Season 1 counterparts. So on my anime list, it got an 8.59 as opposed to the 8.76, and on Anime Planet, it got a 8.62 as opposed to 8.67. So the film ranked higher in both cases than the first series, and by about the same amount on both sites as well. It is rated a 17 plus, or an R, although in the ending credits of the film, I did see that it had PG-12 at the very end of it, and I don't know if that's like the Japanese ranking,
it was rated PG-13 here.
Right.
So that might have been what you caught instead of 12?
I saw 12, which is why I was confused, because I've never seen that ranking, that rating before.
Because the PG
which is
rating
why I remembered
is American.
It's 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm confused by that, but yeah, and it was rated PG-13 here.
PG-13.
Although, just because of the suicide trigger warning, like, I'm honestly surprised it didn't get rated R, because that was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like that brutal. Like, it wasn't Attack on Titan, like somebody getting like chomped in half brutal, but at the same time, like, as somebody who has been there, that was brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to have a trigger warning on it. But on my anime list here, it is rated a R or 17 plus for violence and profanity. So do keep that in mind if you have young'uns with you in the room or whatever. If you decide to watch it, I would put them to bed first.
Or if you have young'uns, just watch it sub. They can't read.
yeah. I mean, the visuals are there, but you know.
It don't matter. They can't read.
It don't matter. That don't matter.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I think that's all of the background information. So yeah, let's put those spoiler chicken hats on.
Hats on.
Hats on.
Yatak.
So we start off in the graveyard with Scarface. Dude.
Scarface.
I can't remember the name of it right now.
The leader of the Demon Slayers, whose name I can't remember, nor will I ever remember.
Yeah, who is listing all of the names of all of the Demon Slayers that have passed while he has been in power, I guess. The leader of the Demon Slayers, which is sad and heartbreaking, and also it's very emotional right off the bat. They hit you with those emotions, and it's very subtle the way that they do that. Mm-hmm. They start you off on a low tone, which is very fitting for the rest of the film.
Yeah, not only that, but holy fuck, the way they animated that graveyard and the area around his palace.
Yeah.
Mate, that was fucking stunning.
Yeah, well, Demon Slayer, I find, as a series, has had a very, it's got a very unique animation style in the face shape and also in the bold outlines that they use. The outlines are not consistently thin throughout everything. Sometimes they thicken and broaden and thin down, and it is a very... if you see a character from Demon Slayer and you didn't necessarily know that they were from Demon Slayer, you could still place them in Demon Slayer because of the way that they are drawn.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I will say of this compared to the actual show, the background artists on this, they must have had an unlimited budget because they went ham for the most part.
Yeah, the opening scene where they were looking at those trees and it was just panning up looked real.
Not only that, but whenever they were showing the streams and stuff, and how they had the little subtle water reflections.
Yeah.
It was funny because as much as I've been carrying on with my PC and gaming and whatnot, I was like, they turned RTX on for this.
Yeah.
Ray tracing is on. But no, just the scenery and everything was just, I have no words. That was the most gorgeous scenery I've seen in an anime in a really long time. That was Makoto Shinkai levels of background work.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The detail work on the trees, the bark of the trees was since when do they paint on bark of trees?
Actual bark.
Yeah,
they...
I know, it was so...
Oh,
the initial impression is 10 out of 10 on animation. As soon as that opening shot panned up, it was just stunning.
Not only that, but the sword skill animations or the breathing techniques, whatever the fuck you want to call them, in this were even turned up even more. Mm-hmm. They went ham, especially with Rengoku's fire breathing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And I will also say that I noticed that the music in this film was incredibly well placed. For instance, there was a moment where Rengoku is introducing himself and the music builds, pauses when he says his name, and then picks up again immediately after. And it was one of those things that just completely set the tone of the scene, and it was just incredibly well done.
And we also need to mention the fact that, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but 75 to 80% of the background music in this was the OPs and EDs from the show, and even Homura from the very end. Whenever it was showing you Rengoku's past, it was Homura, but it was just a low-key piano version. Whenever I noticed that in theaters, I don't know if anybody else around me just noticed it, but you know me, I'm a big music and animation person.
Yeah.
So the second I noticed that, I was like, oh my god. How can they do this? This is so good. Little subtle things like that. The music placement, everything was just, it was your line April levels of perfection of music placement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's for this. There's so many little Easter eggs and references to the first season, and I'm assuming that that's going to continue throughout. I hope it continues out through the next season that comes out. It was just such an incredible incredibly well made. Like, just the puzzle pieces all fit in really, really well together, and the structure of this was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. And then for the next scene, it literally picks up right where season 1 left off. You get a recap of Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, like, running to get onto the train and being scared about their swords.
Yeah.
So they hop onto the train, and they, like, start going through. Inosuke is losing his absolute shit over everything. He's like, oh, I'm inside the belly of the Lord. And Zenitsu's just like, it's a fucking train, man.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Tanjiro's, like, you know, his hesitancy about the train from the first season was just immediately dead. Like, he gave no shits. He was just walking through the train after that. While Inosuke was, like, just trying to throw himself out every window, trying to figure everything out.
Yes.
And then Rengoku's introduction. That was a, how would you say, delicious introduction?
Yes.
Oh my!
So he, right off the bat, he's introduced as a very strange, like, almost annoying character right off the bat. Like, I feel like if you didn't know him, like, if you were going to this film blind, you hadn't seen the first season, he would be annoying right away.
So, I have something to talk about with his introduction, but I'll get to it at the end because I'm not sure if it's a true spoiler or not.
Okay.
But there is a piece of samurai history that is just 100% like his introduction to a T.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm interested.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Don't let me forget.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, we're introduced to him, and pretty much right away, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke ask him to basically train them, or he, like, offers, I guess, but they create this bond right away between the four of them, but more to the point between Tanjiro and Rengoku because of their fire connection, and Tanjiro wanting to know more about his father and his father's breathing technique.
Oh my god, that whole interaction, I couldn't keep myself straight. Just because Tanjiro was just like, so listen, my father was really sick. Oh, is that so? But he knew about the Hinokami Kagura. He was like, oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Rengoku's the best, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's just, I get how some people might find him annoying. I thought he was hilarious. Like, it was
I
so
feel
good.
like that, yeah, I feel like that initial introduction, though, is kind of set up to implant him into your memory.
Yeah, like, 100%. Like, that was...
Like, he's meant to be very obnoxious, just so that you, like, get a really strong initial impression.
Mm-hmm. And then, but it turned into, like, I can never forget him as a character, just because of everything that they did with it, just because of the way that they, like, drove it home, but also, I love how this film wasn't even, like, necessarily Tanjiro's film, it was Rengoku's film.
Yes.
But, like, guest starring Tanjiro.
Yeah. Yeah, the film kind of reminds me of, like, a backstory. So if it was, like, Tanjiro in 5 years or something, and then he's telling the story about how he used to have a friend named Rengoku, and this is the story that he tells.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of the way it feels, is like Tanjiro telling a story about Rengoku, and that's why Rengoku is the main character, but Tanjiro plays an integral part, but it still feels like it's coming from Tanjiro, but he's not the main character.
Yeah.
I guess, that's the best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm. And then, after this, nap time!
Yes, so the god dude comes around.
The conductor?
Thank you, I couldn't remember his name.
Well, he doesn't have a name, he has a title.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And he's got his little stapler thing, hole punch. He has a hole punch. And he's going to punch a hole in their tickets. And he does that, and it sends them all to sleep. And then while they're asleep, some, like, children, I guess, young adults, come along and they tie themselves to each of the four people. Nezuko's still in her box on the, like, I like how he just she is just luggage. Like, she's in the luggage carrier above. She's not, he's not keeping her, like, in a seat or next to, even though she's in a box, he still treats her like luggage. That makes me laugh a lot.
No, she was she was in the box in the seat across from him.
I thought initially she was, like, up in the, like, above seat.
No, he helped a lady put up her luggage.
Maybe I'm just, like,
but no, like, she was seated in the spot across from him.
I kind of would like the idea of him treating her like luggage, because that's such a sibling thing, and I know for a fact my brother would do that to me. But
I would do that to you.
Yeah, see? Sibling thing. Like, it works.
But then again, I would do that with almost anyone. Like, no, you can't sit beside me. Sit your ass up here.
You get in the luggage rack.
But it's cheaper to fly someone as luggage than it is to fly.
Yeah, but they also die.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Just wear an oxygen mask. It'll be okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so then they're all connected from the demon on top of the train, who is he's not controlling these four people. He's like
he's blackmailing them with dreams, because obviously they all have their own issues, but he can give them whatever kind of dreams that they want to have. Like, that's his quirk, or blood demon art is what they're called in this. So essentially, he can put anyone to sleep, make them dream about anything. He can give them nightmares. He can give them, like, you know, whatever kind of dream that they, like, truly want, have whatever life they kind of have, etc.
Yeah. And so these people who have obviously had a very hard life are just wanting an escape, and he can give them that. I assume he's obviously, like, teased that for them beforehand, and so kind of got them hooked on it, addicted to it, and now he's using that to be able to get them to do his own bidding. So he has them attached to each of the four boys through ropes on each of their wrists, and they are going into all four of their dreams individually to be able to slice through their dream wall, to get into their subconscious, to then find their, like, soul core, to destroy the core, to then, like, destroy the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we get thrust into Tanjiro's dream, where he is with his old family, with his family that passed away in the first season. So this is where I feel like if you hadn't seen the first season, you were only watching the movie, this could come as a huge plot point for you while watching the film, because they don't explain what happens to his family until, like, the nightmare that he's forced to have. So you don't know. You understand that he's away from his family, you understand that there's tension there, but if you hadn't seen the first season, you wouldn't know what had transpired to cause such a strong reaction until that moment. And I feel like that could be, like, you could cry twice in this film if you hadn't seen the first season.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. So he's there, he's with his old siblings, and with his mom, and he's just going through everyday life like they were on the mountain, and his scar goes back, his clothing goes back, his hair gets pulled back in a ponytail, and he's just living his ordinary life for a little while until he starts to get pulled away by his own subconscious telling him that he needs to wake up.
Yeah, whenever he gets dragged into the water because he sees his own, like, actual reflection, it's like, wake up!
Yeah.
That was good.
Mm-hmm. So then he realizes that he is in a dream, but he doesn't know how to escape from the dream until he figures out that he can kill himself within the dream world. Or, like, his dad comes in the dream and says, you need to cut something. I think it's, like, something like that.
It's like, there's something you need to cut. And he's like, don't be afraid.
Yeah. And so then Tanjiro realizes that the thing he needs to cut is his neck. He needs to kill himself to be able to escape from the dream.
But can we also talk about before that how the reason he, like, starts to come back to himself more is because Nezuko headbutts his ass so hard that she splits her head open and then starts crying.
And he smells her blood and he's like, Nezuko's blood. And then she also then freaks out and, like, starts a demon flame burn, and it also severs the rope. So he's still stuck in the dream world, but he's not, like, connected in the same way that he was beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but can we appreciate how Nezuko went Super Saiyan and burned his ass to burn the rope?
Yeah.
That was great. Like, Nezuko, although she
so
had just a
cute.
small part in this, like, just, like, stole the show of that point where she just headbutts him and then starts crying over it because he technically made her
honestly.
bleed.
She's so, so cute.
Oh, so adorable.
Yeah. And so then he's in this dream world. He's just escaped from this dream world. And then we get like glimpses of the others' dream worlds as well.
We get a little bit more of Rengoku's dream than anyone's, of him visiting his dad and then talking to his brother.
Yes.
But then you really get introduced to, like, the person who's inside his dream trying to cut his spiritual core.
Yes.
But what you really get introduced to is Rengoku choking the life out of her.
Yeah, so in real life, he knows that something is wrong, and so he, like, attacks her, but he's still dreaming, so he's standing up and he's got his hand around her throat and her pinned along against the side of the train. Whilst he is still in the dream world, she is still in the dream world. And there's a couple important parts in his dream that are then referenced later that I think are going to be important for the next season. Which, I mean, I know you know the answer to that because you've read further in the manga, so
I will say
do that what you
nothing.
will.
I will say absolutely nothing. Although
But,
there is one part that they didn't show in the film that I really hope that they bring up later.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go ahead and say it because they should have shown it. But Rengoku gives Tanjiro his hilt off of his sword to take to his family. And you don't see that.
No.
Which made me sad.
Yeah, that seems like it would be important.
Actually,
it should be important.
Shit. Bradley, cut that out. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
That's a spoiler.
But there was the part where they were talking, like, his dad was the previous fire...
Flame Hashira?
What is it? Hashira, thank you. It was the previous Flame Hashira. Or, like, no, one beforehand. There was, like, one in between them. Because the one in between them then has a thing that is, like, important later that I think is going to be important in the next season because of other things that are going to happen. But we'll talk about that when we get further in the film. Yeah, so then we get to see him interact with his dad. His dad's, like, a big old grumpy pants. And his cute little brother, who we love, and we love supportive big brother, although I'm really sad for little brother now because of what happened. But, like, also, good job, big brother. And we get introduced to his mom a little bit. Yeah, now. Is it now or a little bit later?
No, it's a little bit later. It's whenever the fight at the end starts.
Right, okay. But we know that his mom is dead in this flashback dream. And...
Zenitsu's dream!
Zenitsu's dream. Running with Nezuko through, like, a foresty area, him showing off his lightning abilities.
And Nezuko can talk, for one.
Nezuko can...
And then she's like, I can't swim. And Zenitsu's like, alright, climb on. And him just lightning ability, like jumping off of rocks. And I'm like, bitch, why can't you do that while you're awake?
His hot eyes the whole time.
Oh, it was great. But then Nezuko's eyes, whenever she's climbing on his back, whenever they're just those dots.
Yeah.
That just pleases me to no end. Like, Demon Slayer's facial expressions, like, all the way around, just make me so happy.
100%.
And then fucking Inosuke's dream. Oh my god.
Oh my god. His freaking train spider.
So you have a giant train centipede. That's like the big bad of his dream.
Yeah.
You have Tanjiro. That's a fucking raccoon whose name is Monjiro. You have Zenitsu, whose name is what was it? Chuitsu?
I think so,
and he's a rat. And then you have Nezuko that's like short and is a bunny who he doesn't even know her name. She's just minion number 3. And like she's just marching with it. Oh my god. It was such a trip. And then whenever it shows the people that were invading their dreams to get to their spiritual cores, like pretty much right after that, Zenitsu, oh my god, man.
It's the fact that he never really woke up around this whole
No,
thing.
like, he didn't wake up until after the train fucking derailed.
Yep.
Like, this man snaps on the dude, because it was the dude that got into his subconscious. And it's just dark. He's fumbling around. He's like, why is it so dark in here? And then you just see, like, Zenitsu, like, as a ghost in the background, just, like, blinking in and out of existence, but getting closer and closer every time. Then he's, like, right behind him, basically whispering in his ear, and he's like, who are you? Why are you here? Where's Nezuko? What have you done with Nezuko? I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna make you pay. And then pulls out this giant thing of fucking hedge clippers and just starts just nipping at the dude.
It's so funny. And then Inosuke with his
he just goes full bore, just chasing that girl through everything. There's just rocks. He's just climbing. His subconscious is just rocks. Like, they're all entering past their dream world into their subconscious. It's just, like, either dark plains, or it's beautiful, or it's, like, some serene... I don't know, it's, like, the visual representation of what their soul is supposed to look like, and his is just rocks. Oh my god. So did you, whenever you saw Tanjiro's subconscious... Did you not just immediately hear Unravel just playing in the background? From the OP of Tokyo Ghoul? The second I saw that, I just immediately hear TK serenading me in the back of my head. And I'm like, yes! But oh my god, that was so beautiful. His subconscious is just stunning, man. Yeah.
I want to know what Nezuko's subconscious looks like.
I too would like to know what that would look like, actually.
Yeah.
It's just Tanjiro. Tanjiro everywhere.
It's just Tanjiro, yeah. And so then they kind of all break out of their subconsciouses.
Except for one.
Except for Zenitsu. And then Rengoku is like, okay, I'm going to take the last 5 carriages. I'll protect them, because there's 200 people on this train. I'm going to protect the last 5 carriages. Zenitsu and Nezuko can protect the top 2, I think it was.
Or the last 3.
And last 3?
Tanjiro and Inosuke are going to go find the head of the demon. And if they can't cut off his head, then Rengoku will take care of it.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, does Tanjiro and Inosuke give Sleep Demon a... Well, first of all, Tanjiro fights the Sleep Demon by himself. And he manages to cut off the Sleep Demon's head. Except for it's not his actual head, because Sleep Demon has fused with the train. He is the train.
Yes.
And then the train turns into a fucking hentai.
Yeah. Yeah. Accurate.
There's no other way to put it. I was sitting there watching it with Tree and Noah, and I was like, oh, this is like one of my Japanese hentais. Which is a Metal Gear reference that nobody will ever get.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was pretty much it. Like, tentacles start sprouting out of it and trying to eat the people. Nezuko gets wrapped up, and then Zenitsu, like the badass he is, like the second she gets wrapped up and starts being constricted, this motherfucker sprints from one end of the train to the other like a bolt of lightning and just cuts everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just immediately passes out, and Nezuko's like, the fuck?
The fuck? Yeah. Zenitsu, honestly, if he's one of these characters that I'm like, if he was conscious when he was doing that crap, he would be as powerful as, like, Rengoku. But because he has such a small slither of time when he's a badass, then he's, like, one of the weakest characters.
Okay. No, never mind. I'm not going to send that to you, because I don't know if you want to see that. But so in the final fight of the manga, basically like the big kind of war arc, because it's a shonen, even though it's not a war, you can't call it a war. Anyway, somebody has went in and fan animated the scene of Zenitsu being a badass while he's awake because of something that happens. And I was like, you have got to be shitting me. Like, it is, for a fan to do that, it's one of the most stunning things I've ever seen. And they, like, captured it perfectly. And so, I just want to be able to show that to people, man. But nobody's seen it. Like, nobody's read the manga, so nobody's just going to get it. But it's so accurate to the manga that I can't do it because it's going to spoil it. Because it's Zenitsu being a badass.
Do you think that's going to come out in the second season?
No. So
No,
if
okay.
my timeline of everything is correct, and this is just kind of me spouting nonsense because this is me we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Second season, third season, and they kind of have an option out of that. They can probably do one core of a fourth season or potentially do a movie for the final arc.
Mm-hmm.
Because the manga is completely done. There's no more. And not only that, but if you want my honest opinion, the last section of the manga was really rushed.
Okay.
So I think it's all dependent on how they want to do it. I would be totally fine with them doing either one core or a film, but I don't think they're going to get two cores out of a fourth season. So it's definitely going to be in the last season, although I'm excited for what season 3 is going to be. Season 2 is going to be great, don't get me wrong, but season 3 is going to be a blast.
Okay, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm with you. But yeah, okay, so they're fighting on top of the train. Rengoku is being a badass in the back of the train. And then they realize that the big demon is also the train. So then they're fighting, and then they realize that the head of the demon, because of Inosuke's nose.
Well, it's not his nose, it's his, like, beast sense or whatever.
Beast sense? Okay, yeah.
That you get to see in the spider
Tanjiro
village.
With the nose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tanjiro can't smell shit because the whole train just stinks of demon.
Yeah. And so then they go to the, like, engine room, and they try and they realize where the spine is, so they try and, like, attack it and sever the spine, but it is taking, like, it took, like, all of their strength just to uncover the spine, let alone to, like, sever it. So then they try and do, like, a 1-2 attack. But all this time, these eyes are, like, popping out throughout the demon's flesh, which is the drain. And they are trapping Tanjiro into a dream with then he's then killing himself to then awaken, to then be trapped in a dream, to then kill himself, to then awaken, etc., 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 again and again and again. Inosuke is not being trapped in dreams because of his boar mask, where they can't tell where he's looking. So he isn't getting trapped in the same dream because you have to have the eye contact to be able to be trapped in.
Yeah, and also Zenitsu, like, because of his sense, has the ability to tell where it's looking. So he also knows, like, where it's looking at him so he can avoid the gaze. Mm-hmm. But then, in a stroke of pure badassery, so the demon tricks Tanjiro into thinking that he's going to put him to sleep. So Tanjiro's already ready to kill himself, but the demon doesn't put him to sleep.
Yeah.
And so Zenitsu just, like, tackles his ass. He's like, hey, now is not the time to kill yourself. We've got work to do. And I was like, my man.
Yes. Yeah.
But honestly, whenever I was reading that in the manga, I was honestly curious because I figured, like, that particular predicament would come up at some point.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it took that long.
Me too.
For that to happen. Like, it was literally right at the ass end of that fight whenever the demon came up with that strategy. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, that was obviously the first thing that I thought of. So I was like, maybe I should be a fucking demon.
No, I'm with you because I thought that was going to happen because I thought that the demon was going to start putting him in dreams that looked exactly like reality. So he wouldn't know if he was in a dream or reality, and then it would end up tricking him.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. And so I was kind of waiting on that plot too. I think that kind of that trope, I guess, was very visible to the audience. We saw what was coming before he did.
Yeah, but not even that. I don't even feel like that's an anime trope. I feel like that's a media trope in general. Mm. Like, I think the biggest thing to do it here recently was either, I think it was Endgame, whenever that happened, with the new, or with the last Avengers film. Mm-hmm. I feel like Thanos pulled some shit like that. So I think that was probably why it was still kind of fresh on my brain whenever I was reading the manga. But maybe, I was like, yeah. I think that's a more common trope than what people realize.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it was definitely very visible to the audience to see that was going to happen. But I also think that necessarily wasn't a bad thing because it increased our, like, apprehension. Like, we kind of knew what was going to happen. So then we were like, well, don't be stupid enough to fall for that, you know?
Yeah.
And so it kind of, like, made you tense while watching.
Mm-hmm.
So then...
Tanjiro uses his Hinokami Kagura.
Yes. And shit hits the fan.
Yeah, shit hits the fan. So Zenitsu not Zenitsu, but Inosuke and Tanjiro finally, like, get their shit together after Zenitsu keeps Tanjiro from killing himself. Well, at the same time, the conductor's like, oh, I want to have my dream. So he goes and tries to stab Inosuke, but Tanjiro, being Tanjiro, like pushes him out of the way and gets stabbed in the abdomen himself. I think it might have been his kidney. I'm not 100% certain. Looked like his kidney. Anyway, so he gets stabbed, but he manages to fight through it because, main hero bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses his Hinokami Kagura while Zenitsu is going through and slicing eyeballs. And he severs the spine, but because he used the Hinokami Kagura, he can't move. And not only can he not move, but since the demon turned into the train goes fucking batshit crazy and flies off the rails. Literally.
Yes. Yeah. So then, kind of out of nowhere, when everybody is, crashed and crap's happening, we get Rengoku coming over to Tanjiro saying, hey, do your breathing technique, you need to seal the wound. So he does the breathing technique to seal the wound, but he's still not healed, he's just stopped the bleeding. And then, kind of out of nowhere, what number was it? Upper?
So the upper 3.
Right. Demon just kind of appears, it's sort of randomly, I guess.
Yeah, so it gets mentioned. You finally get to see a silhouette whenever the lower one, or the trained sleep demon, was talking about, after he finally killed Tanjiro, Muzan would give him enough of his blood to be able to challenge one of the upper 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so, his outline was basically outlined the most prominent.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, boom, Azusa appears, and he tries to punch Tanjiro, but Rengoku's like, nope, not gonna have that happen. And then one of the most beautifully animated fight scenes I have ever seen happens. Yeah. Oh my god, this was... Oh, it was so pretty. So good. Again, I wish weekly shows could have this kind of animation budget.
Yeah.
I was in love. It was so good.
Yeah, so Rengoku and the demon are fighting, and so Rengoku and the demon are fighting, and Inosuke and Tanjiro are both watching, but they can't interact with it because, Tanjiro can't really move. But also, they're moving so quickly and they're so efficient and they're so good that they both know that they would only be a deficit if they were to try and help. So they just are kind of stuck watching everything that's happening. At the same time, Zenitsu and Nezuko are kind of, they're passed out by the train, but they're people that are helping everyone, all of the passengers try and live and everything. And so this demon is trying to get Rengoku to become a demon because he wants to fight him for forever and ever, and it's been such a long time since he faced someone that was so powerful that he wants him to become a demon so that then, as a martial artist himself, they can train together and fight together and be martial artists for eternity, and he can always have a partner in crime. Obviously Rengoku doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to be a demon. He doesn't want to be immortal. He doesn't want to sacrifice his humanity for that. And so then this kind of conversation of persuasion and just complete shutdown happens throughout the entire animation of them fighting, whilst obviously Tanjiro and Inosuke are both watching on.
And then obviously with this being an upper 3, and even though Rengoku's a Hashira, the Azusa is just immediately healing with everything. And Rengoku is getting the absolute shit beat out of him at the same time, no matter how much damage that he inflicts onto Azusa. So I believe he has his eye crushed, his lungs punctured, and his ribs broken.
Mm-hmm.
But this man is still killing it. And then, can we just talk about how big of a badass? Because we see in the first season that Gyu has developed his own breathing technique in the water breathing. Well, this man, Rengoku, not only did he develop his own breathing technique, but he named it after himself because it's just that badass.
Yep.
Dude has a breathing technique that's basically just a fucking dragon just charging straight at the dude.
Mm-hmm.
And just that whole speech where he's set your heart ablaze and go beyond. And I was like, please, plus ultra, give it to me, please.
Right, yeah.
We didn't get it, but I was like, I don't care. It was just that whole bit. Did that not give you chills and like get you pumped?
Oh yeah, 100%. And then we also get a flashback to him talking with his mum when he was very small, where she's dying, his mum's very sick, and she says to him that the reason why that he's stronger than the other children is because he has a duty to protect the weak. And she tells him she loves him, she says that she doesn't have much time left, and that she knows it's a big responsibility, but she knows that he can handle it.
Then she tells him to, like, make her proud.
Yeah. And all throughout this, she's got a very, like, straight face, and then she cries. And then the fight ensues, and he gets, like, a power-up boost from memories of his mom. And he tries to attack again, but he is obviously so internally damaged and injured that he just can't keep going. And then the sun starts to rise, so he grabs a hold of the demon, and he doesn't want him to get away because obviously the sun burns the demons. And he's trying to keep him there, and he won't let him leave. And so that's when Tanjiro starts running towards him because he's going to try and help and like behead the demon whilst Rengoku has got him like trapped. And then he calls to Inosuke to jump in as well and try and like help too. So they're running towards the demon while the sun's rising. At this time, my brain is going, get Nezuko into the box.
Right? You too?
Yeah.
Like the second the sun gets mentioned, but not only that, but whenever I was watching it, like you see after the train has crashed, that like you just see a little bit of light on the horizon. By the way, animator, subtle touch, I fucking love it. Mm-hmm. More of that, please, in anime. Like especially if light is a plot point, every little bit of lighting is paramount. And that was genius because of how quickly that fight technically took place in real time. Even though like it was like a 10-minute fight in the film, it only took place over, I'd say, like 45 seconds to a minute in the like real time, maybe. Just those subtle bits of light difference. Kudos. Amazing. Also, Rengoku got turned into a donut. Not happy. Big sad.
Yeah, big sad.
But this man, like, while he's trying to get away from everything, Azusa rips off his arms to run away. Because since Rengoku, like, so whenever Azusa, like, he punches straight through Rengoku, and Rengoku, like, just flexes his abdomen muscles. He's like, like, you're not getting out of there. But at the same time, he goes to, like, punch him in the face. So he would let go with the sword, because at the same time, even though Rengoku is impaled, he's still trying to cut off the dude's head, and is, like, halfway through. So instead, he's like, fuck it, I'm out. So he snaps the sword that's in his neck to keep himself from being decapitated, and then just breaks off both of his arms at the elbow so he can get away. Yeah.
So he is running away into the forest, and Tanjiro is screaming after him that he's a coward and that why do they always have to fight demons in the nighttime when it's their advantage? Like, why can't they fight during the daytime? And that he's a coward and all this kind of stuff, and he's just like screaming, and then because he's upset, obviously Rengoku is going to die, and Rengoku then calls him over and they have a conversation where he just basically says, I believe in you, can you go to my brother and tell him, you know, give him the, well, as you said, the thing that I don't know if we should talk about or not. And can you go to my family? And whilst you're there is the Hashira's journal, or like papers, instructions or something from the previous Hashira, who was a flame Hashira. He might have more information on your father. So you should go there as well. You'll get something out of it yourself, but also please go to see my brother.
And he also told Tanjiro to like tell his dad to take care of himself.
Yes.
But also, important plot point for later, Tanjiro uses his flame breathing one last time while he's chasing after Azusa and yeets his katana straight through Azusa.
Yeah.
I make that a very specific plot point because you bet your ass the first scene of season 2 is going to be fucking the swordsmith chasing Tanjiro's ass down.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
Actually, I don't think it's a spoiler to say this, but he refuses to make Tanjiro another sword for a while.
Oh, wow.
Like, he just gets a letter that says, no sword.
Oh, wow.
I think, if I remember correctly. It's been a little while, but for some reason, I think that's it. Or it's just a note that just says, die, 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 die all over it.
That's funny.
It's a great time.
So, whilst Rengoku is dead, once he dies, the emotions of this point is kind of like confusing because they try and make it a lot more lighthearted by having Inosuke act like an idiot, basically.
Well, before that though, because I don't think you talked about the scene with his mother appearing in front of him, like as he's dying.
Oh, no, I didn't, yeah.
So, whenever Rengoku is talking to Tanjiro, like whenever he's basically finished up everything he has to say, that you see like the camera shot kind of change a little bit. You just see his mom kind of like appear behind him with like the sun glistening and everything. The camera effect they do is gorgeous on this. It's stunning. Anyway, and like Rengoku has like an internal like conversation with her, and he's like, I hope that, you know, I lived up to your expectations. And the difference they made in the manga and the film, in the manga, she tells Rengoku that he did well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the film, she said, you made me proud.
Oh.
And that subtle difference is what broke me. Like, I probably would have just sat there in the theater and sniffled a little bit, you know, just because I'm a sappy bitch whenever it comes to crying with anything with anime.
Yeah.
But then whenever she said, you made me proud, I lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, it's just such a subtle change, and nobody that hasn't read the manga would get it, and I'm assuming people that actually read the manga probably wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
But it, like, that shattered me. I was like, that is a beautiful touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, she smiles as well, which is the first time we get to see her smile as a character, which is very different. And
then Rengoku smile.
And it's like she's welcoming him to the afterlife and stuff. I don't know. It's like sad, and my stomach is growling. Stomach-chan.
Stomach-chan. Can we get like an enamel pin made of like a stomach with like the same happy face that we put on Prickles?
We could do. That
oh my
like
god!
idea.
Oh, and it could have like Stomach-chan lettering on it, just since it has to be like round or some shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
Sounds
my god,
good to me.
that would be amazing. We need this. We need this to happen.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like super emotional and sweet and sad, and there's a lot of feelings that happen during this short time period.
And then Inosuke being the fucking comic relief, where he's like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't want you to cry, and they're like, but you're crying, and then he proceeds to, for one, headbutt the shit out of Zenitsu, but then two, like, as he and Tanjiro are sitting there just wailing, like, Zenitsu's just, like, bonking him on the head, like, taking out his frustration.
Yeah, like, let's go train.
Yeah, and he's, like, trying to drag him away so they can go train, and then you see the crows go off and tell all the other Hashira about what happened, and that, too, like, broke my heart to see, like, how all of them reacted differently.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we end the movie the same way that we started it, with Scarface, I don't remember his name, I'm never going to remember his name, saying that he's not sad that Rengoku died because he is going to be joining him soon. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's the end of the film, and it's like a super sad, like the whole film is just kind of takes a mellow note. You get moments of warmth and kindness and happiness, but the whole film consistently throughout is on this like blue tone all the way through.
Not only that, but Homura, the official theme for the song, is basically just saying goodbye and thank you. Mm-hmm. And that broke me too. It's not just because Lisa did it, although because Lisa did it, it makes it that much better. But fucking hell, that's such a good song, and just as fitting as could possibly be for the film. Yeah.
So, what is your overall rating and thoughts and vibes?
9.5.
9.5?
9.5. I would give it a 10, but the awkward, like, CGI animation on the hentai stuff was kind of took me out of it a little bit. Not the biggest fan. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, animation, stunning. Music, stunning. I cried. Obviously, crying gives it like an automatic 8.5 points. But the humor was well placed. Even Inosuke, like, if it wasn't Inosuke's character to do that kind of shit, it would have taken me out of the moment with him, like, being the comic relief right after Rengoku died.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be Demon Slayer if it didn't. Like, anything else, you would probably let the sad moments breathe. But because it's Demon Slayer, it doesn't give you time to sit and dwell on those things because there's always more and more to come. Because as soon as that happens, Tanjiro's not crying because Rengoku's dead. Although that's part of it. He's crying because he's like, well, fuck, I've worked this hard to figure out everything else that I've figured out. But now there's that much more of a gap between where I am and where I need to go.
Yeah.
And so it's just a story of a character who has lost everything, but is still doing everything he can to move forward. Mm-hmm. And it's just a beautiful story and everything else going on around it. 9.5. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am giving it an 8.5. I know. Don't yell at me.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to yell at you for giving it an 8.5 because that's your own personal opinion. However, I am going to yell at you for giving it an 8.5 because you're being basic and going along with the ratings of everyone else.
Maybe. But, like, I wrote 8.5 on my notes before I looked at the ratings of everybody else. So.
Doesn't matter. Basic. Anyway.
Fine. But the reason why I'm giving it an 8.5 is personally because I feel like some of the characters fell a little bit flat in the context of the film. In the sense that, like, there was no character development for Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, or Inosuke.
I disagree.
In what way?
Tanjiro obviously had his character development there at the end. Because he's obviously, instead of being stuck in the moment, he's, growing because he's obviously trying to think about where he wants to go from here.
Okay, so Tanjiro, I'll give you that. He goes
Nezuko
only appears briefly.
I'm going to shut the fuck up before I spoil something for later.
Within the film.
Although she doesn't have growth here, I will say her arc is coming.
Okay,
so we'll get back to that. But I feel, and also Zenitsu and Inosuke will both have their growth. Inosuke actually gets his in the next arc.
Okay.
So he'll get his in season 2. So I feel like for the sake of the film, the only two people that needed to have their moments were Rengoku and Tanjiro.
I understand that, but if you take the film as it is, as a whole, as an entity, and you don't take into account the series or what's coming, and you only look at the film, some of the characters fell a bit flat because of the fact that they are based on being as part of a series,
But from season 1 to here, there is growth.
Absolutely. But in the context of the film, there isn't.
Yeah, but this film is canon. It's a direct continuation.
I know, but it is also a film that I am critiquing as a whole. So...
No, you are critiquing it as a film, not as a whole part of the series.
Yeah, I'm critiquing the film. The film, there is no character growth for those characters.
But they are also side characters.
I understand that, but, I wanted more from them. They fell a bit flat.
I'm done with this podcast. I quit. I'm done. Find somebody else to put up with this shit.
Nobody else will. You know that. We're stuck with each other.
All right. This is the last episode of BnB Anime. I've been Brad. It's been nice. See you later. Bye.
Lies.
Oh, it's so much lies. This bit probably won't even make it in for all I know.
You never know.
But yeah. Who knows?
That's my thoughts.
I mean, I get it. There's part of me that kind of wants to agree with you. But there's so much to like about everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
100%.
It's a film that I can watch over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It literally felt like I was watching 6 episodes of the anime, just without the stopping for OPs and EDs.
Mm-hmm.
It truly felt like just a direct continuation. And if it wasn't for those animation flaws, I probably would have given it a 10.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Just because those animation flaws, took me out.
Mm-hmm.
They took me out of it a lot, actually. I don't know if they bothered you as bad as it bothered me, but it bothered me a lot.
I definitely did get hentai vibes. I 100% did. In my brain, I was like, oh, this is weird.
Which, I thought it was hilarious. By all means, give it hentai vibes. I've seen Food Wars. This is fucking nothing. However, just the way it was animated, the way that it was, very, 3D... made it kind of disgusting to look at. And I guess that's kind of what took me out of it. Yeah. Like, if they had just, like, made it suit everything else, but also, thanks to having the conversation with a friend of ours about, like, how they do their animation and stuff, one thing that did bother me is that it really felt like 2D characters in a 3D environment. Which, I mean, that's how they do their animation. They build, like, a 3D world, or, like, 3D environment, and then put the characters in it. But if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have, like, it wouldn't have clicked. But because I know it, it was like that glass shattering effect, you know, to where it's like my perception of reality is destroyed.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm not docking points for that because that doesn't bother me. Although I notice it now and I think it's cool just to know how they do that animation. That doesn't bother me. But oh my god, the tentacles. That bothered me.
Yeah.
On the outside of the train. On the inside of the train, it wasn't that bad.
No.
But I think it was just because the coloring they chose, maybe, to where it was just, like, so, like, prominent outside of the background and everything, that it was disgusting.
Okay, fair point.
But, yeah. And plus, I gotta find something to give you shit about. You put up with my nonsense. You put up with me falling asleep before we could record this last night, so, you know.
Yeah, that is true.
Brad
fell asleep on me.
Yeah, you know, we were supposed to record at 11 the night before we were recording this now. Or 9 o'clock her time, whatever the fuck. Anyway. And I passed out at like 8:30. I hadn't slept.
No.
So not technically my fault. My fault for not letting her know. But also not my fault because I fell asleep.
No, I don't blame you. Too much.
Too much. Yeah, I only wasted like 30 minutes of your time last night. It's fine.
No, it was actually really chill because I was just like on my phone reading a book while I was sitting there, because that's what I do. Because when I'm
like, that's how you managed to finish a whole book by this. You just read while I was chilling asleep last night.
I had finished that book by that point. I read the book Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That explains.
And then I got sad because I finished it.
So you ordered another one.
So I went directly to Chapter's website and ordered the second book.
So I ordered a thing this week.
Oh, yeah?
I ordered one of those Japanese rice cookers that sing to you.
Oh, fun!
I'll let you know how I like it, but apparently it cooks rice perfectly, and also, for how much I spent on it, it had better fucking cook rice perfectly.
Yeah, you better let me know.
I've never spent so much money on a kitchen appliance before. However, I will let you know.
How much money was it?
$150.
Oof.
However, they had more expensive versions.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, they had $500 versions of this rice cooker, and I'm like, why? It's rice.
Yeah, like, I have a KitchenAid mixer with, like, fancy dough hooks and stuff, and that, I'm sure, was fairly expensive when we first got it, but I was underage at the time, so I didn't pay for it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, those KitchenAid mixers are like $300 or $400. However, they last for fucking ever, so I get it.
I was gonna say, yeah, we got that when I was like 15, so I am now not 15, and therefore it has been around for a while.
I know, now you're old.
Now I am old.
I can't say shit. I'm older than you are.
You are older than me.
That's just instinctively where my brain goes. It's like, quick, find something to throw at her that's witty. And then I'm like, fuck, wait, I'm older than her.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I think that's it from me.
That's all I got. So
cool.
you can find the absolutely lovely Blue on Twitch at twitch.tv/Blue Lavender. She doesn't stream now. She may stream again later. I don't fucking know. Anyway, she also has an Instagram and Twitter at Blue Lavender STM because, you know, things have to be different. However, if you want life updates, art updates, all that other fun stuff, you can find that there. Also, she has an Instagram for the bestest dog, Tilly, at the best Tilly Bean, where you get adorable doggo photos more often than you get anything else.
True. Yeah, and if you like Brad, you can find him on Twitch at Bradcards Gaming. He has a fun GTA roleplay shit going on, so be sure to check that out. And he also has an Instagram for himself at Bradcards Gaming as well. He also runs our Instagram and Twitter for the podcast at BnB Anime. We're BnB Anime on all of our social medias, so if you're curious as to whether we're on a social media site, just search BnB Anime. If we show up, we're there. If we don't, we don't have that platform. Easiest way to do it. And yeah, we have a YouTube channel as well where we have fun things coming. I talked to Brad about it. We've got ideas. And that's at BnB Anime as well. We also have a website at www.bnbanime.com where we have all of our archived episodes as well as links to your favorite listening platform for easy download. We also have background information on both Brad and I, links to our IMDb pages for our voice acting if you're curious about that, and artwork stuff is also on there as well. So hit us up in those comments on either the website, the YouTube channel, or in those DMs on any of our social medias to let us know your thoughts and opinions on the show today or in any of the previous episodes of the podcast. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you have a recommendation of something that we should cover in the future. And let us know if you think we're complete idiots, because I've said this before and I'll say it many times again. We do not know what we're talking about when it comes to actual making of anime or reviews of animes. We're just doing this because we're two idiots that love anime, and we both very much enjoy voice acting. So that is one thing that we can kind of talk on because we have careers in it. But like everything else, we don't really know what's going on. We just like to discuss and start a topic of conversation about it. So yeah, let us know your thoughts and opinions on that.
That everything?
That's everything.
So, thank you all so much for listening. Blue and I greatly appreciate it. Next week, Rising of the Shield Hero? Question mark?
Question mark. Possibly. I don't know. I had a migraine last week, so we didn't get last week's episode out. So we have one in the bank, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to place it. So... yeah.
So you will either get Rising of the Shield Hero or you will get Big Wind Up Season 2. What will it actually be? Find out next Sunday, I guess.
We'll
but until
see.
then, we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye!